So any investment made in an individual's growth and development is a wise one. Your success is important on so many different levels to you, your family, and your company. Regardless of what we are doing, we can always do it better, bigger, faster, more efficiently. Better is good. It takes no more energy to produce extremely effective results than it does to produce mediocre results. Thinking into results is designed to help you improve whatever it is you're doing. I'm privileged to be able to lead you through this program. This program that Bob Proctor and Gallagher have put together is the result of 50 plus years of dedicated study and research. It's phenomenal. And the wonderful thing about thinking into results is that it's all directed towards you, your goals, your results, and your growth. Wins for the week. So I wonder if anyone's got any wins for the week. I actually finished my 5-day, what do you call it? I guess was this a five-day workshop. It was my first one, and I was trying to do that and present that, and I got through the whole thing, and I recorded it and put it on Patreon. So that's really great. So that's a definite win for me. So here's the call agenda. I'm going to introduce lesson 1, a worthy ideal, and then we're going to watch the lesson 1 video, then we'll cover the key points, and then I'm going to introduce the worksheet, and then we're going to wrap it up. So each of us makes decisions that result in how we create our life, our personal life, and our business life. This process is designed to help you create the results you want. The entire program is based upon the laws of the universe, sowing and reaping, action and reaction. What you get out of this program will be proportionate to what you put into it. Be open-minded and give it your full attention. If you do this, this program will give you everything you want. So my role as a leader is to help guide you through this process. I have studied this material and I've been trained to facilitate the learning process of your journey through thinking into results. It's important to point out also that I study this information every day. Repetition is key. In each of the lessons, there's 12 of them, I will lead a discussion on what we are learning and how we can best implement the suggestions in each of the lessons into our daily activities to improve the results we're getting. One of the most apparent attributes of this program is that we will begin to see competition replaced with cooperation and creation. Although there will be an individual focus, we will also focus on the group as a whole. The bottom line is that each person is more than capable of getting better results in virtually every area of your life. This program can be the catalyst. I'm really enthused about starting this process with you. This first session is entitled A Worthy Ideal, Setting and Achieving Worthy Goals. In this lesson, we're going to learn about big goals, goals that truly inspire us, goals that run around our mind just before we go to sleep at night and are there ready to fire up our engines early in the morning when we wake up. Goals that add a dimension of creativity to every aspect of our lives. When I first got into this thing, Roush told me that I could get anything I wanted and I just needed a little direction. This program has definitely provided the direction I needed, and if you give it a chance and keep an open mind, it will for you too. The first video on A Worthy Ideal really inspired me. It took my mind to a brand new place and really helped me to expand the vision of my goal. This session is going to take goal setting to a brand new level. Before we watch the video, I wanted to share this definition of success given by Earl Nightingale. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. So what are your goals? Here's a quote by Steve Bowe. God's gift to us is more talent and ability than we'll ever hope to use in our lifetime. And our gift to God is to develop as much of that talent and ability as we can in this lifetime. Okay, let's listen to lesson 1.
Hello there and welcome. I want to congratulate you for taking part in this program, Thinking into Results. You know, you probably think this just has to do with your work, but it really doesn't. This has to do with your family. It has to do with your social life, your health. It has to do with your life. I began studying this material close to 50 years ago. My life has changed so dramatically. I live in a healthy body. I'm happy. I'm wealthy. I have friends all over the world. And I have business all over the world. And it's all because of this material. You have absolutely no idea where this is going to take you. And when we talk about results, let's understand this. It's what we think that ultimately manifests as results. Now, that may seem like a bit of an exaggeration or maybe even a fairy tale to you at this point. But as you start to study it, you're going to realize it's not an exaggeration and it's not a fairy tale. It's real. So take this program seriously. Your leaders are going to give you something that you're going to be grateful for the rest of your life. I am forever grateful every day to have this information. Because you see, I'm in charge of me. I'm in charge of my world. And you're going to take charge of your world. You'll no longer be a victim of circumstance or a victim of any kind. Because you're going to take responsibility for your life and the results you get. We never have to blame. We never have to look at anybody else. And we are in control of how we think, how we feel, how we act. And therefore the results we get. You're going to start loving how you spend your days when you've got thinking into results in your pocket and in your mind. Enjoy it.
Hello, I'm Sandy Gallagher, your partner on this journey, thinking into results. When I first met Bob Proctor, I was already a successful business attorney, and I thought my life couldn't get much better. But it did. My life has expanded dramatically. I've learned a lot from Bob since we first met. He got me to shift my thinking and see the relationship of my mind to my behavior and my results. Bob Proctor is widely considered one of the greatest teachers in the world on the topic of human potential and growth. He's worked with many of the top companies around the world, from banks to airlines to insurance companies to computer giants like IBM. Working with Bob generates phenomenal results. One of the most valuable concepts that Bob taught me is the importance of setting goals. Not just any goal, not a goal you know how to achieve. I'm talking about a goal, a dream, a vision, something you think, something you know, in fact, is beyond your experience today. Because the true purpose of a goal is to help you grow in your awareness of yourself and of your team. What are your dreams? What are your aspirations? What are your goals? Let's see how you can begin thinking in a new and powerful way and begin discovering your true purpose in life. Are you ready?
The lesson that we're going to do right now could have a greater impact on your life than anything else. It certainly did on mine. You receive a little goal card. This is where you sit down and write out what you want on a card. And then you carry it loose in your purse or your pocket. Now on one side we've got here, change is inevitable. But personal growth is a choice. And it is. Do you know that you could wander up and down the streets of any city, anywhere in the world, and ask one person after another, what is their goal? And they'll look at you, and odds are pretty good they'll say, what do you mean? And if by chance you find someone that has a clearly defined goal, ask if they've got it in writing. And again, odds are pretty good they won't. If you decide what you want, and you write it on the card, and you carry it with you, I guarantee you it must happen. It absolutely must happen in your life. Now, why do we have goals? See, the average individual would say we have a goal to get more. You know, get a better house, get a bigger house, get a boat, get more money. No. That may be a result of the goal. You may, accumulate more in your life and nicer and better things. But the real purpose of a goal is to grow. It causes you to draw something out of yourself that you didn't even know was there. Now, when we set a goal, we're going after something we want. And if you know how to reach it, it's the wrong goal. Now, that probably sounds pretty silly. When you set a goal, you're going after something you want. And if you know how to reach it, it's probably the wrong goal. You're going sideways. I always mention that goals fall into three categories. I refer to it as A, B, and C. A-type goals are doing something you already know how to do. And I use an example in a program that I wrote about a young man that came to me and he asked me if I'd talk to him about his goal. And I said, sure, what's your goal? He said, I want to get a new car. And I said, well, that's okay. I said, what kind of a car do you want? He said, a new Pontiac. I said, well, Pontiac's a nice car. I've had a Pontiac. And I said, what are you driving now? And he said, a Pontiac. Really? I said, how long have you had it? And he said, 4 years. I said, how old's the Pontiac? He said, 4 years old. And I said, then what you're telling me is that you have had a new Pontiac that you bought 4 years ago. You bought it new. He said, that's right. And I said, that's not a good goal, because you've known for 4 years how to do that. There's going to be no growth attached to it. Now, that doesn't mean you shouldn't get a new Pontiac, but it would not constitute a goal. A goal is something that you're going to go after you've never done before. Now, when people move away from A-type goals, they generally go to B-type goals. And that's where they sit down and they gather all the information they've got, all the resources they've got, and they say, if all these things happen, then I could accomplish this. And they make a plan. They've got an absolutely beautiful plan. They've got the plan, and if all these things happen, then I can accomplish this. This is what they think they can do. You see, the A-type is what they know they can do. B is what they think they can do. Now, do you know that there's no inspiration in going after something like that? Absolutely none. And if you're going to really accomplish something, you're going to have to be inspired. You're going to have to pull on something that you haven't pulled on before. I mean, it's going to have to come from inside. See, people go after B-type goals, they get going, and they get bored, they're not inspired, and so they quit, they give up. Now, the C-type goal is wants. And what you want, I'm talking about what you really want. Most people say, I don't know what I want. I don't believe that. I think you do know what you want. I think you're rejecting it before you give it any serious thought. To decide what you want, you've got to sit down and totally relax. And then you have to let your imagination wander. When you're going after wants, you're dealing with fantasy. See, the one, you're going after what you know. The other one, you're going after what you think you can do. And the wants is fantasy. Now, we have been conditioned as kids that fantasy is just for little kids. You don't fantasize. You've got to know how things are going to happen. But you see, you and I are the only creature on the planet, so far as we know, that can fantasize. Ed Hillary fantasized that he would stand on top of the world and he climbed Mount Everest. The Wright brothers, a couple of ordinary bicycle mechanics, they fantasized they'd introduce us to a new kingdom, and they did. Now think of this for a moment. What do you fantasize? See, as a little kid you could fantasize, and your mother and dad let you do that because it got you out under their feet. You'd sit down in front of the kitchen cupboards with pots and pans, and God knows only what you did with it. But then you went to school. Bob, pay attention. You see, your mind's wandering. Will you quit looking out the window and listen to what I'm telling you? And you see, we'd get punished, and pretty soon we stopped fantasizing. We put our imagination away, and we stopped using it. Do you know, Napoleon Hill said the imagination is the most marvelous, miraculous, inconceivably powerful force the world has ever known. Don't you find it strange that we have great, huge companies, big multinationals, with small creative departments? We have people wandering around and say, well, I'm not really creative. Writers are creative, musicians are, but I'm really not creative. Everyone is creative. Creativity comes from the root creator, which is within. Everybody's creative. It's a matter, are you expressing your creativity? Well, don't let people steal your dream. When you sit down and decide what you want, you won't know how you're going to get it. The fun is in finding out how you're going to do it. When I set a goal, if it doesn't sort of scare me, I know I'm on the wrong track. See, if you know how you do it, you're going to go sideways. You've got to build a fantasy. You take the fantasy and you move it from fantasy to a theory. You keep playing with it. And you go from fantasy to a theory. And you take and you build an image, and just follow the pyramid that we've got here for you. And you turn it into a theory. Now that is when we're giving our fantasy some serious consideration. We're starting to use our reasoning mind, and we're starting to give this some serious thought. Now, before we can turn the theory into a goal, we have to ask ourselves a couple of things. Am I able to do this? Am I able? Well, if we believe everything we've been taught by both science and theology, the only two sources of reference we have to go to, we have deep reservoirs of talent. We have infinite potential. Absolutely, I'm able. I don't know how, but I'm able. The second question we have to ask, am I willing? Am I willing to pay the price? Am I willing to do what I have to do to get to where I'm going? See, Ed Hillary had to go to Nepal in 1951, in 1952, and 1953. No one had ever been to the top of Mount Everest. Everyone in the world told him it couldn't be done. Anybody that tried died. But he kept going back. He was willing to do whatever was required, and he got to the top of that mountain. Have you any idea how those two young bicycle mechanics, the Wright brothers, were ridiculed? Told to quit wasting time? Have you any idea how many times people laughed at Edison when he said what he was going to do? He was going to make this incandescent light. Do you know he failed about 10,000 times? He was willing to do that. See, failing at something doesn't make you a failure. You're only a failure when you stop. You could ask, am I able to do this? Yeah, I'm able. Am I willing? Yeah, I'm willing. I am willing to pay the price. At that second, your theory turns into a goal. Now, as you get emotionally involved in the goal, you're going to find that your emotional involvement is going to change your behavior. Yet you're going to find as your behavior changes, the results start to change. And your theory turns into a fact. And once you reach the goal, it turned into a fact. That puts you in a position to build bigger and better fantasies. Now, let's back up a bit. How do you decide what you want? See, that's a pretty big idea. You've got to sit down as an individual and start writing all your wants down. Make it a shopping list. See, I think there's two goals people should have. They should have a personal goal, and then they should have a corporate goal. You might want to sit down with your peers in your department and say, what could we accomplish in this department? It could be the sales department. It might be, as a group, collectively, take the sales to a point that would shock the executives in the company. It could be in the machine shop. Let's make this place the most effective machine shop in the world. It could be in the accounting department. Let's make sure everything's right on tap. They're goals. And as we work towards them, we unify our energies. We work together, but we're working towards a point. See, when people are working towards something, they're alive. If they're just working, they don't have any fun. So we've got to sit down and we've got to decide, what do I really want? And start to make a list. You're capable of doing anything. And what we're really doing is raising our level of conscious awareness. And you're going to find when you decide on the thing on the list that you want more than anything, that becomes the star you're shooting at. That's what's written on the card. That becomes the goal. It might be an income, it might be a position, it might be a new home, it might be a trip. That becomes the goal. Yeah, that's what you work towards. And you're forever trying to become more effective so you can raise your consciousness and you become aware of how to do it. It's the same in a department. We have a masterminding session, a brainstorming session. How can we make this department more effective than it is? Now, you're going to find possibly someone who say, well, I'm not doing that. Well, then that's okay. They're not part of the group. Don't let another person dictate how you're going to live. Don't let conditions or circumstance dictate. It has nothing to do with what's going on outside of you. It's what's going on inside. George Bernard Shaw said that people are always blaming circumstance for where they are. He said, I don't believe in circumstance. The people that get on in this world are the people who get up and look for the circumstances they want, and if they can't find them, they make them. So you absolutely refuse to let anything that's going on outside stop you. Do you know, there's a cute story about the Maharishi and yoga when he was taking his transcendental meditation to the world, or planning to. Someone asked him, well, where's all the money going to come from? He said, wherever it is right now. See, nothing's created or destroyed. If nothing's created or destroyed, everything's already here, if not in one state or another. The way to fly airplanes has always been here. Internet, it's always been here. We just weren't aware of how to do it. And as we raise our conscious awareness, we've got it. Nothing is created or destroyed. All science and all theology have taught us that for years. Now, when we really start to understand that, we live in an ocean of motion. We're living in a constant evolution of change. But remember when I said personal growth is a choice. You've got to have a goal. You've got to wake up in the morning and get excited. I'm working towards my goal. That's what I'm doing right now, is I'm creating this program with you. I'm working towards a goal. I have a business partner, Sandy Gallagher. She wants to build this worldwide, the corporate division, and so that's what we're doing. That's what we're working towards. That's why we're spending time here right now, building this program. So help you. See, the only way to reach the goal is to provide greater service. And as you provide greater service, you're going to grow. You're going to move ahead. Things inside of you are going to start to happen. An individual that doesn't have a goal is lost. They don't know where they're going. Can you imagine going on a trip and you don't know where you're going? Somebody say, well, where are you going to go? I don't know, west. Where? I mean, you could be going around the world and just going around the world and around the world. Well, where are you going? I'm going west. Well, when you get there, you still can go west. Imagine driving out of your driveway. You've got no destination. Which way would you turn? You see, we're goal-seeking organisms, every one of us. Have you ever watched a little baby? The baby's goal is to walk. It falls, it bangs its head, it cries, it bleeds, but it doesn't stay down. It gets up and it gets going. And pretty soon, it's, look, Mom, I'm walking. Then they get on a bike. And the trick is to balance it, learn how to ride. Pretty soon it's, look, Mom, no hands. But do you know what your goal is? Your goal, your real purpose in life is to grow. You want to sit down and ask yourself, what do you really love to do? That's what you're going to get good at. That's what your purpose is going to be all about. That's what your goal is all about. Move toward what you want. Have a personal goal, have a corporate goal. Now, your personal goal and your corporate goal in your department should be consistent with the corporate goal that the executive team set. So you want to make sure, as you go towards the big one, that all your little ones will fall into place. And I guarantee you, you'll set something on fire inside of you that there's nothing like it. Goal achievers are productive individuals. They're happy, they're productive, they're prosperous. They're the ones that make the world change. Don't listen to people that tell you why something can't be done. Don't listen to people that tell you the economy is controlling them. You control the economy. You're God's highest form of creation. Steve Bowe, who was a vice president with the Metropolitan Life Insurance Company, said one time something that I have never forgot. He said, God's gift to us is more talent and ability than we'll ever hope to use in our lifetime. Our gift to God is to develop as much of that talent and ability as we can in this lifetime. I like that. You might want to take and memorize that. It's done me a lot of good. Now I've shared it with you. Set your goal, get it on your card, bury it in your mind. Tell yourself, I'm able and I'm willing, and then go and do it. This is Bob Proctor. Thank you.
I'd like to congratulate you on taking this first step towards thinking into results. Now that you know a lot more about setting goals, the right kind of goals, what do you do next? You take action, because that's where the learning really begins. Without action, goals are just fantasies. So sit down with your coworkers, take some time and ask them, if we had all the resources we needed and there were no limitations or restrictions, what would we want to accomplish together as a department? It's really a great opportunity to collaborate and be creative, because everyone wins by coming together for a common goal, and everyone soars when those common goals are big, worthy goals. So good luck, and I'll see you at the next lesson.
Alrighty, so now it's time to put these concepts into action. This is where these lessons come to life. Okay, so on page 4 of your participant guide, you'll find a summary of the key points in the video. So the key points are: a goal is something you're going after that you've never done before. A goal is designed to help you grow. It causes you to draw something from yourself that you didn't even know was there. If you know how to reach your goal, the goal isn't going to do for you what goals are designed to do. If you're really going to accomplish something, you're going to need to be inspired by going after something you really want. It's going to have to come from inside. So type A goals are doing something you already know how to do. Type B goals are what you think you can do. And type C goals are your wants, what you really want. Type C goals come from your fantasies and are originated through the effective use of your imagination. There is no inspiration in B and no growth in A-type goals. So you've got to build the fantasy and move it from fantasy to a theory. You must believe you're able and be willing to do what is required in order to turn that theory about your wants into a goal. Now, don't let outside conditions or circumstances dictate how you will live. Refuse to let anything that's going on outside of you stop you. As you get emotionally involved in the goal, you're going to involve your emotions, and the expression of that emotional involvement is going to change your behavior. As your behavior changes, your results start to change, and your theory turns into a fact. Individuals without a goal are lost. They have no compass. You've got to wake up in the morning and get excited. I'm working towards my goal. After you've reviewed and studied the key points, there's a worksheet for you to complete. And this worksheet will help you create larger, more meaningful, worthy goals. Block off some time to read through the key points and complete the worksheet. I'd suggest at least an hour of your time. Keep in mind you get out of the process what you put into it. I guarantee if you give each of these lessons and exercises your attention, they will pay big dividends. So let's introduce the worksheets. Now, the worksheets are meant as an activity that challenges you to immediately apply the lesson learned. The worksheets are an essential part of the Thinking into Results program. Each time you watch the lesson, you should also complete the lesson worksheets. Be sure you're writing out your answers. So let's look at the questions. If someone were to stop you on the street and ask you, what's your goal? How would you respond? Do you have goals? Are they written down? Now, question number 2, type C goals are your wants, what you really want. What do you really want? What is it that you would really like to be, do, or have, even though you may feel it is, for one reason or other, somewhat beyond your reach at the present moment? Allow yourself to relax and let your imagination wander. Fantasize. Create a shopping list of your wants. Include personal wants and professional wants. As you are fantasizing, do not give one speck of mental energy to how this goal is going to be accomplished. Do not concern yourself with where the money, the time, the assistance you may require is going to come from. Attempting to think of how will either limit or destroy the fantasy. Just think of what you want. So exercise question number 3. From each of these lists of wants, select one that you want more than anything. It is essential that you choose something special, something you personally feel very drawn to and is important to you. Now, you must want it, and you must want it with your heart and soul. It is also important that the wants you choose are in harmony. They must not pull you in opposite directions. So exercise question number 4. It is very important that you give all your mental energy to the building of the image of the good you desire. Begin to think about these wants as an image in your mind. Write about these wants existing in your life in the present tense. See yourself in possession of whatever it is you want and create an affirmation like this one. I am so happy and grateful now that my personal want has manifested. And then describe your wants in detail in the present tense. Exercise question number 5. You have tremendous creative potential. Everything you see around you was once an idea that was conceived in somebody's imagination. Now, all images that originate in the imagination are referred to as fantasies. Flying airplanes was a fantasy at one time. So was the automobile, and so was the internet. To exercise your creative faculty, your imagination, you begin by building a fantasy. You mentally begin to play with that fantasy until you start to take it seriously. Then you flip from using your imagination to using your reasoning factor, another one of your intellectual faculties, and you start to build the idea more clearly. This is where the image turns into a theory in your conscious mind. Now, before the theory can become a goal, you must ask yourself 2 questions. The first question is, am I able to do this? When you take into consideration that the only 2 sources of reference we have to go to, science and theology, with respect to human potential, both clearly indicate that your potential is infinite, the answer to the first question must be an emphatic yes. The second question is quite different. It is, am I willing? Am I willing to do whatever is required to cause the image in my mind to manifest in physical form in my life? When your answer to that question is yes, your theory immediately becomes a goal, and when you turn your goal over to the universal subconscious mind, the laws of the universe kick in, and the first law, perpetual transmutation of energy,
takes over and your goal begins to move into physical form with and through you. It causes your behavior to change and at the same time begins to attract to you all those things required for the manifestation of your image. Before long, your theory becomes a fact. Therein covers the 3 stages of creation: fantasy, theory, and fact. This is how everything's been accomplished. So write your personal and professional goals on your goal card, and you should be able to articulate your goal in one concise statement. Look at your goal card every morning, as often as you can throughout the day and every night. I read my goal card to myself in the mirror for 5 minutes before sleeping. By thinking about the goals you've established for yourself every morning, many times during the day, and every night, you begin moving toward it and you bringing it towards you. You must be able to see yourself on the screen of your mind already in possession of the goal, and you must seriously want it. So remember, the picture you hold in your mind most often will eventually be expressed in physical form or circumstance. Exercise question number 6. How do you feel after setting your personal and professional goals? Last but not least, you must take action. So exercise question number 7. In the space provided, write 6 action steps you can take right now to move towards your personal and professional goal. I do that every day. I make a list the night before, make a list of 6 things I'm going to do the next day, and then work on number 1 until it's either completed or you can't go any further, then go on into number 2. And you do that every night, and you work through all your 6 things you have to do. It is amazing what it'll do for your life. So that's it for the week. These lessons are simple, yet very thought-provoking. The exercises are meaningful, and when properly completed, extremely beneficial. So regardless of what our lives were like in the past, we can see that there are areas that we would all like to improve. I look forward to our next session together.